Here in TCO Studios, I'm Tatum Everett alongside offensive coordinator Wes Phillips. No longer a rookie, it is your sophomore season now here in Minnesota. And several coaches, including yourself, had opportunities to explore other jobs across the league. But you made the choice to stay here. Why do you think that was a trend for your coaching staff this offseason?
Well, I think it speaks to the culture that kind of Kevin and the players here and the coaches have all been trying to build, as well as the positivity we see coming in the future. We've got some things that kind of unfinished business, so to speak. We feel like we're growing as a team, and anytime you get an opportunity just to speak with someone potentially about a job, it's a blessing. It's very flattering, but just at this point in time, I came here to help Kevin and to do something special, and I think we're headed in that direction. So I'm sticking around.
We're happy you're sticking around. I know Coach O'Connell is too. You guys obviously have a close relationship. How would you describe that relationship?
I think we see football, I think that the initial part, when I first started working with Kevin, I think we see the game in a similar way, how we want to attack a defense, how we see an offense being put together. But on top of that, he's a great friend. He's a great human being. He's got a great family. Our families are close. Mm-hmm. We're very close. We make each other laugh, which is needed throughout a long season. To have somebody that there's a lot of stressful times, and a little levity there sometimes is good for us. But he's the best.
Well, take us inside one of those meetings when you guys go over the game plan and come up with what you want to do. What does that look like?
Well, generally there's a group of us. Some guys are specific to certain areas, maybe third down or red zone. But whether we're going in the base game plan, whether we're going in third downs, there's a group of us that kind of go in with our thoughts, our ideas, and we kind of just start throwing things up and drawing things on the board. And generally it's in Kevin's office. Yeah. And so we're getting on the big board and we're pulling up clips, and we're just bouncing things off. And sometimes your idea is the best thing, or we feel it's the best thing, and sometimes someone has a tweak to it, and sometimes it gets thrown out and someone else got something better, and not a lot of egos in there. We're just trying to come up with what's best for the team.
That sets me up right for my next question. What happens when you disagree with Coach O'Connell?
Well, we do what he wants. No, I mean, these are just ideas. I'm not emotionally attached to any idea that I have, and neither is Kevin if we feel like someone brings something up that would make it better.
It was definitely a special season, 13 wins, division champions. When you are looking back at this past season, what game plan are you the most proud of?
Ooh, they're all challenging, I will say that. Whether it's teams that are the Giants, or the teams that are bringing all kinds of pressure, and you have to make sure just every down you have to just be ready, because they could bring the house, and protection adjustments, all those types of things. But then there's teams that line up in four-man rush every play, and they're so good at what they do, and the intricacies, because they don't do a lot, are very challenging, and they know exactly what to do. They know the routes that attack the coverages that they play, and they know how to play those, and they know the adjustments in the run game with the front. So it's just a challenging league. It's hard to win every week, and you look back, we won 13 games, but you still look at it, and as we're going through cut-ups of this season, and you say, God, it feels like we really beat the crap out of that team. Yeah. But then you look at it in the fourth quarter, it's this tight. It's this tight, and we had a lot of those games this year.
I was going to say, you're preaching to the fans right here. They understand that it was always so tight. But you're not going to give us one game plan maybe that stuck out to you? Got to put you on the spot.
it was a great feeling to go out game one
Yes.
against the Green Bay Packers
That's a good one.
and have that kind of performance with a new team. You know, we thought we could be good, but until you go out there and really strap it up for that first real live ball game, you know, you're not 100% sure, and to come out like that and play the way we did, it was satisfying.
What do you hope to improve on personally as a year two offensive coordinator in this league?
I think anytime you take on a new role, you just don't know what you don't know. You've never done it before, so there was a lot that I learned throughout this year. A lot of things, you know, specific to this role that I can obviously get better and got better through. But a lot of it's learning with more responsibility your time management. You know, trying to be better at when do I need to do this to get all of this done by the end of the week or by the end of the day or by the end of the night. You know, those types of things, just time management, and hopefully I can find a way to get a little bit of exercise in at some point, because I didn't feel great after the year.
I love that. Take care of yourself too,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Well, someone who's taking care of your offensive game plan would be Justin Jefferson, Offensive Player of the Year. Was there a moment, or what would be a moment that you can think of where you sat back and you were like, I'm coaching one of the greats?
Well, you knew that he was doing things in his first 2 years that had never been done before. So anytime someone is setting kind of these all-time records in a league that's been around a good while, you knew he was special. But really for me, it was the person and the love of the game that really stood out. When he gets on the grass, it's just like the games. He wants to win every rep. He wants to compete every play. And when you see that, you know, I've been around some great players, and they all had that where, you know, he has fun, he's got a great sense of humor, but then between the lines, there's just such a hyper-competitive person in there that is driven to win every single rep, you know, no matter who it is he's going against. And, you know, when you saw that in him, in addition to that talent, that's when you said, okay, this guy is really special.
When you talk about these players that maybe remind you of him, would there be a name that comes to the top of your mind? Maybe they don't play similarly, but they approach the game similarly. Well,
I mean, the most, you know, recent people that I was around, I mean, Aaron Donald is that way, Cooper Kupp is that way, Jalen Ramsey is that way. I mean, these guys that are the great players in this league, they generally have that. If they don't, then maybe they're just the super athlete that, you know, it's always been easy for them. But the guys that sustain it, the guys that are Hall of Fame level type players at the end of their careers that are able to be fortunate to be that durable, they all have that kind of killer instinct, that competitive drive that it's just internal. I don't think you can coach it.
Now, there were a few games where his production was uncharacteristically lower than some of his better games. What can you do as an offensive coordinator to make sure that he has those high production games every single week?
Yeah, I think we can put him in better positions at times. You know, it's a challenging thing sometimes because a lot of times what we're watching on tape is not what we see. So maybe they play single high, one safety deep most of the time. And then against us, we don't see any of that, and they've got someone over the top of him at all times. And I think later in the year, just kind of anticipating the things that we might see more so than, hey, we haven't seen it, but we know they're not going to just leave him one-on-one out here.
Right.
And also moving him around at times, just giving him some access. You know, he's very hard to, if you give him access, if you move him, if you motion him, if he's off the ball, sometimes just giving him a little bit more access and a little more freedom on his release to get going. He's a tough cover.
Tough to cover, fun to watch. This offense really was explosive. We loved watching this offense this past season. Top 10 in most categories. But the run game, I don't think, really lived up to your expectations or Coach O'Connell's expectations this year. How do you guys plan on addressing that this offseason?
Well, we've, as a staff, we've already gone through all of the run concepts individually. So we've kind of made assessments about not only the schemes that we're running, how can we set the scheme up better, what do we like, what do we want to do more of, what do we want to do less of, what do we want to throw out, so that we can kind of hone in on a little more, maybe not having so much volume and tightening it up so that these guys can go out and play fast. That's one thing, and then digging into the individual players doing those individual blocks and assignments. You know, the more we can just bring our guys up within this system, I think they've got a great foundation. Obviously, we've got to eliminate the negative runs and the 0-yard runs. We've got to try to stay efficient. You know, Kevin always says efficient and explosive. Like that's what we want to be. We want to be efficient and explosive. When you get behind the chains a little bit, you get into some of those tougher downs.
I think everybody is excited about the fact that it was only one season in this scheme, yet so successful. When you look at this draft class, what kind of players do you feel like will fit into your offense moving forward?
Well, the best football players and people we can find. You know, you have such limited picks. You go through so many players. You spend so much time on all of these guys throughout the draft process. And then most of it ends up being wasted time. It's not a waste of time, but you're trying to find the right people and the right fit as a player. But there's certainly positions that we can upgrade, but it's also a team thing. You know, being on the offense, you'd love to have new pieces and guys that you can work with and fit in. But we do feel really good about the guys that we have, so the young players that we have on our team, or even veteran type players that just haven't had their shot just yet. So anyone we can add to our offense that's a great player, we'll find a way to use them.
Well, before I let you go, I have to bring up the fact that your dad, Wade Phillips, still coaching. Now that you have some time this offseason, are you watching the Houston Roughnecks in the XFL?
3-0.
That's right.
3-0 with the Roughnecks, leading the league in sacks, defense playing great.
Not surprisingly.
Offense is really starting to come together last week. Receivers making a lot of plays, so I'm liking what they're doing so far.
There you go.
I get to call now after his games and kind of pick at him a little bit. What were you thinking there? You know, why'd you do that? Hey, you need to do this a little bit more. I don't know that he listens, but I'm really happy for him, and
awesome.
It's really fun to watch him. He's enjoying it so much, just being on the grass and being with the guys.
How the tables have turned, huh?
That's right.
That's right. Well, thank you so much for your time. Offensive coordinator Wes Phillips, we can't wait to see what you guys do in the offseason, and soon we'll be in training camp, like before we know it, it feels like.
That's right. Thank you for having me.